Hello, God people. So today I'm here to narrate to you my experience about my second visit to the heavenlies. And I pray so much that I don't cry because anytime I think about it, I feel emotional and I cry. But I have actually asked the Holy Spirit to restrain me and kind of take over the situation so I don't cry to spoil this video. So it was just a random day when I was sleeping. Then I was laying on the bed. I wasn't really sleeping, and the cherub started coming toward me and kind of announced his coming, that he was coming to pick me. He introduced himself, of course, his name, and told me he was sent to come and pick me to come and meet Christ at the heavenlies. I quickly obliged, and then off we left. In no time we were there, and then when I got there, I was welcomed into a room or a place where I saw just people around, and they were busy kind of dishing out food. So they took me to the presence of Christ. I stood there and he said, welcome to my kingdom. I have called you, or I have sent for you to come so we'll commune and have a meal together. I said okay. So they offered me a seat, and where I sat, I was facing him directly, like looking at me, I'm looking at him. I was so humbled by the atmosphere, the environment. I was just so humbled beyond words can describe. I sat there and they brought the meal. I didn't even touch the meal till I left there because the conversation became so intense. He asked me that I should tell him what or how I envision my future to be like. I was like, okay, this is a big opportunity, right? So I started to say so many things. And then when I was done, he asked me again to tell him about my heart desires. I started rattling them. I told him a whole lot, what I needed for myself, for my family, for my community, a whole lot. Everything that came to my mind, I said it. Then he listened to me all the way without interrupting me. When I finished, he said, he asked me that he knows I know that I am kind of supposed to do an assignment. And I said, yeah, that's what I've been told, and I keep having revelations about that. He said, okay. And he's here to tell me today that this assignment I am on is not something that's kind of new. It is something that I was marked to do. I asked him, marked? He said, yes, marked. I was predestined before I was even born, that when this time, it gets to this time of my life, I will do this assignment that I am set to do. And I said, okay. Then I asked, can I ask a question? They said, yes. I said, okay. So if you marked me for an assignment like this, which is kind of godly assignment like this, why didn't you tell me so I could watch my life and live a righteous life? Because I knew what I have done in the past. I messed up big time. So I was now trying to make it like, if I had known who I was, I would have been careful of the things that I did in the past. So he said it was to serve his purpose. I said, okay. And I said, can I ask another question? Then he said, okay. Then I said, then why did you place me in the Muslim family? A very staunch Muslim family for that matter. Only for me to grow up to this stage, and then you tell me that I was marked for this assignment, or I was marked for your assignment. Then he said it was to serve his purpose. I said, okay. And I asked, can I ask you another question? He said, go ahead. And I said, okay. Do you know how difficult it is going to be for me to do this assignment? Or don't you think you could have lost me because after you appeared to me, I could have decided not to still be a Christian and I will still be a Muslim and I will not serve your assignment? He said there's no way. He orchestrated everything up to this point, so there's no way he would have lost me. And he went on to say that this assignment, I was born to do it, and so I'm going to do it so easily. Of course, there will be obstacles, there will be persecution, there will be challenges, but I can withstand them. I was meant and born to do that. That's what he said. You were meant and born to do that. So whatever that comes your way, you will overcome. And of course, that he's leading me, he's guiding me, and he will bring forth the men, the machineries, and the angels that will assist me to carry this assignment successfully. I said, okay. Then he repeated again, everything that happened in the past in your life, I allow you to live your life to the fullest up to this stage, because all that will serve my purpose. I said, okay. So he stood up and kind of beckoned me to come closer to him. So I went. Then he walked me to the place, like a window. We're standing behind a window. Then he pointed to me. I watched, and that was the King of Kings seated there, because I've seen him before. I was taken to his presence at the beginning of my manifestation. We didn't really go closer to him. We sat like we're standing on the ground, and he was on top of a mountain, seated on his throne. Of course, you can't see the face of God, but I saw his garments, the embroidery work, and it flowed all the way to the ground where we were even standing, and angels were all over the place, from ground to the mountain top. I could just stand and see all the way, but you can't really see the face. I don't think anybody was allowed to see God's face. And that was the second time I was seeing him. So as soon as I watched him, I recognized him. Then I told Christ that, yes, I have seen him before. And he said, okay, I know. But I am showing you again for you to double confirm that this God who has predestinated you to serve his purpose is the only God. And he's the God that is true and he's real. I am seated here on his right hand side, and everyone that serves my purpose or serves in the kingdom is seated alongside with me. And so go tell your people that you have seen the God that sees you, because as he's seated there, his eyes runs to and fro all over the surface of the earth, and he shows himself mighty and strong on behalf of those whose hearts are righteous toward him. So I am showing you for the second time for you to double confirm, considering the challenges of your assignment. At some points you'll be tempted to doubt what you are doing, and you will remember this day that you saw the God that sees you and that sees the world. So go preach to your people that he is real, you have seen him, and he is the only God they need to worship, and none else. He is the one and the only true God. And I'm seated on his right hand side, and I'm still here, and I will be there until the end of time. And whoever will follow me will be led to this kingdom, and he will be seated on the same right hand side of the King of Kings. Go tell your people. I didn't even eat the food. I felt so humbled. I cried, and then that was it. When I woke up, I knelt down, I praised God, and I cried some more. It took me a few days to kind of be able to stop crying, because that presence was so humbling, up to date. Yeah.